Well, hello again. It's another episode of Pod Sothoth, a Lovecraft book club. I'm your host. I'm your co-host. Pardon me, Todd Beardsley. Joined, as always, by my attorney and wife, Claire Reynolds. Hi, Claire.
Hi, Todd.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm wonderful. So yeah, we just got back from London. It was delightful. I spent the entire time working my regular day job. You spent time hanging around London,
I had a
which was
great
great.
time. It would have been better if you'd been able to spend time.
Obviously. Well, the last day-ish or so we were there, we saw our friend Kai that we met at the London Lovecraft Festival, and he was recently published, as a matter of fact. He's an author in the spring 2025 issue of 34 Orchard, and I'll have a link in the show notes, but his story is called Change in the House of Flies, and I really liked it. Unsurprising. It's very noir. I think it takes place in like the late 50s, early 60s. But it's really good. It's noir with like a strong Lovecraftian bent. There's cults. There's grossness. It's really good. So
It was great. I really enjoyed it a lot.
check it out.
I liked it better than the story we're reviewing today.
That would not be a hard bar to pass. So today we're here to talk about he, just the two letters, H-E.
Hector Edward.
Hector Edward is not his name, but it's he. And so I guess we'll just get right into the story, right? So the theme of this story is New York sucks.
This city here is like an open sewer, you know? It's full of filth and scum.
Yes, yes. Shocking turn of events. But
Right.
it turns out that Lovecraft does not like New York because it's filled with people who aren't white.
Right. And so it was written in, it was published in 1926. It was written during the time he was living in New York. And as one might expect, a lot of the themes that came up in Horror at Red Hook, which is easily a more famous story of his, and better and more racist.
Yeah.
But this has some very similar themes of New York is a terrible place that maybe once was okay, except for all the darn immigrants, right? Like
I just try to imagine him when he's living in New York, arguably the greatest city in the world.
Right.
The greatest city in the world, the city that made me who I am, New York.
Per Lin-Manuel Miranda. And he's just walking through. I mean, everything is happening. This sucks. This totally sucks.
This isn't Providence.
This isn't like New England. This sucks.
It is a pretty mopey story. So apparently he wrote it in one day after an all-night antiquarian tour of New York that ended up with him like crossing the Hudson River, and then he was like in a park, and he wrote it like at 7 a.m. or something, exploring.
After a night of binging on a thesaurus.
Well, he was binging on architecture. He was looking at gabled roofs and everything. And so the story begins with the unnamed narrator, who is clearly Lovecraft, talking about how he just came to New York, and he was expecting to be awesome and amazing, like how he's always heard. And it isn't. He talks about how it is divorced from old New York, and he talks about specifically these other glorious and half fabulous cities, which means it's time for another episode of Real or Fake, Claire. Hopefully this is an easy one. We'll find out. Real or fake? He names 3 glorious and half fabulous cities. They are Carcassonne, Samarkand, and El Dorado. Which one is the fake city?
Well, let's see. Okay, El Dorado, Eldo, as we called it in Decatur. That's what we used to cruise on Friday and
I'm
Saturday
sorry.
nights.
There was a street called
There's a street
Eldo?
called El Dorado,
Okay.
a.k.a. Eldo. Let's go cruise Eldo.
Okay.
Carcassonne is the game, and Samarkand, I have no idea. I'm going to go with Carcassonne is the real one. Wait, no, there's one fake one.
There's one
El Dorado is
fake
the
one.
fake one.
It's a fake.
Very good. El Dorado is a mythical city. It was supposed to be in where modern Colombia is, or maybe where Venezuela is, or maybe where Peru is.
Wherever Indiana Jones is, you may find El Dorado.
It is.
Or El Dorado.
It was a motivator for the Spanish conquest of the New World. Probably not the greatest thing, but it was a reason for people to come from Spain to South America because they were looking for El Dorado.
I love gold.
They were looking for the 2 Dairy Queens on El Dorado.
El Dorado is
There's
how
a Dairy Queen at each end.
and that's how we pronounce it in Illinois.
Yeah,
El Dorado.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice. So Carcassonne is not just a board game, it turns out. Carcassonne is a real city. It's in southern France. It's a fortified city. It's not on the beach or anything. It's a little bit more inland. And it is the fortress in the center of Carcassonne is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Isn't that nice? And has a population of about 50,000 today. Whereas Samarkand, it is one of the oldest sites of human culture. There is Paleolithic evidence of human settlement in and around Samarkand. It's in present-day Uzbekistan. And in Lovecraft's time, this would have been known as the Uzbek Soviet Socialist Republic. It has a population of about 750,000 people.
All right, thank you.
Yes, I looked them up because there wasn't much to look up in the story, so I decided to do that. But yeah, so El Dorado is not real. And yeah, like he was saying, the current New York seems to bear little resemblance to old New York, unlike what he believes, though having never been there, London and Paris.
He likes the original album. Not any of the new stuff.
Yeah. I do think so. Here's one thing that I found interesting about this summation of like the state of New York is that it is weirdly prescient, but not for the reasons he states. So he writes this in like 1925 or so. This is just before Robert Moses finishes Jones Beach in 1929. Robert Morris was a force of nature upon New York. And we learned all about him when we listened to the 99% Invisible podcast series about the Power Broker. Did we read the Power Broker? No, we don't live in New York. We have no reason to. We listened to Roman Mars and Elliot Kalin talk about the Power Broker, arguably a much better experience of that book. So you should check it out. But yeah, Robert Moses did in fact like rip up New York, like the entire cityscape, in his quest to build roads and bridges. So in that sense, about 15 to 20 years after Lovecraft wrote this, yes, current New York is very different from old New York in that a lot of neighborhoods were blown up to make room for bridges and roads that no one really wanted. So there's that. So good job, Robert Moses. And good job, Roman Mars and Elliot Kalin for talking about it.
Okay, did you say it's Robert Moses? Right?
Robert Moses.
I thought you said Robert Morris before. I was confused.
I might have slipped and said Robert Morris, but
right.
It is Robert
Okay,
Moses.
got it.
And yeah, so I thought that was a little interesting that Lovecraft was right that New York does suck, but it doesn't suck when he's there. Because it's like the roaring 20s when he's there. Like, it is the most awesome place to be. And specifically, this story takes place in Greenwich Village. Yeah. Which is possibly the most awesome part of New York. It's like where all the artists are. And it's where, the Stonewall Inn and it's the birth of Pride Month because Stonewall Inn is in there, right? And so the narrator is wandering around Greenwich Village at 2 a.m, looking for detached courtyards, kind of like leftover parcels that are in between buildings because Greenwich Village was not built on a grid. Like people just kind of built wherever, and then the streets came later. And then he meets a mysterious stranger at 2 a.m. in Greenwich Village.
To Vincent Price, who this was in my head.
You know what? Vincent Price would do excellent in this, like a 1965 era, or Peter Cushing. Either one would do well in this role as the titular he. Anyway, he runs into this dude in Greenwich Village at 2 a.m, promptly goes back to his apartment.
Yeah. I think we all know what's happening there.
It smells old, but it does have a cool Chippendale table in it. And then the stranger takes off his coat and reveals that he's dressed like Hamilton.
There's a million things I haven't done.
Yes.
So who among us have not had this happen to us at 2 a.m. in Greenwich Village?
I have not, and I am worse off for it.
Mm-hmm. And I have some aside notes here because, like, over the course of the story, we get some, like, snippets of what this dude looks like. I think you're absolutely right. He does look like Vincent Price, and I'm positive acts like Vincent Price. Peter Cushing would be great too.
Yeah,
I don't want to,
but it's Vincent Price.
But it's if Vincent Price is unavailable, Peter Cushing will do.
Yeah.
His face is, while handsome, is quote too white or too expressionless.
Mm-hmm.
His hand is a terrible ice cold claw, and his teeth are described later on as bared of what once had been yellow fangs. So is he a vampire?
I'm a vampire. Kill me. Kill me.
You mean a vampire with broken fangs?
Yes.
Like, I don't understand. He's like what
Sure.
once had been yellow.
Yeah.
Uh,
Maybe. I don't know.
he seems awfully, what's the word I'm looking for? Ineffectual to be a vampire.
Sure.
I mean, he doesn't do anything and then immediately gets murdered.
Well, I think that sells him a little short. He does a very cool magic trick.
Well, okay, yeah.
Like 3
Yeah.
times.
Uh-huh.
You're thinking of a card?
It's also
Yeah.
the same trick 3 times,
Right,
which is like the
right,
first
yeah.
rule of magic. Don't do the same trick for the same audience.
No, he got that confused with comedy, the rule of 3.
Right. Well, he takes him back to his apartment, which is actually a manor, and we'll get into that a little bit later. And then he tells him a tale of how he learned a time travel spell from the Indians that kept sneaking onto his property, and he couches it with like, "I mean, my ancestors," blah blah blah.
Right.
Yeah, but it's clear that it's him, and he's an immortal. He's from the middle 18th century or whatever. And it even seems like when he takes Lovecraft back to his place. I'm sorry, he takes the narrator back to his place, who's definitely not Lovecraft. It does seem like they do a little time traveling on the way, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
they're in the house. But I don't know, because like the room smells old and musty, right? So it's clearly the same place where this guy lived.
Right. But there's a lot of like, as they're going, the landscape is kind of changing a little bit. So then it looks older and then older again.
Well, maybe it does one of those things like it fades in and out, you know, like this comes up in The Forgotten Age in Arkham Horror.
Yeah.
Where the place you're at like can flip back and forth between like present and past and all that. So his ancestors, big quote, he learned the necromancy from the local Indians, who would steal onto the property at the full moon, and then he poisoned them. And it seems unclear, though the implication is he did it on purpose.
Yes.
But he claims
It was with Malibu rum. That's what he did.
it was bad rum. And yeah, so you say bad rum, aka Malibu, perhaps Fireball.
That's a whiskey. Well,
Yeah. It's also a malt liquor.
Yeah,
there was a whole court case about it,
that's
of what it
right.
is.
That's right. Yeah.
So I did want to look it up to see like, okay, well, how can you like poison someone to death with rum? Turns out it's super
you can kill
easy.
people with like the bathtub gin. I'm sure you can people with bathtub rum.
You can't kill them on the spot though. So like with bathtub gin, I looked up all this kind of alcohol like how alcohol poisoning happened during Prohibition specifically, because this is what Lovecraft would have been familiar with. And it turns out if you make so like bathtub gin will make you go blind. It will eventually kill you, but it doesn't like drop you dead like when you drink it. However, bad rum can. So bad rum, if you're careless with the distillation and you're using like
Which this guy definitely was.
which he definitely was, and you use like shoddy equipment and you don't pay much attention, you can get wood alcohol leached into your rum.
Okay.
And then that'll give you methanol poisoning, which is lethal at like 30 milliliters. So you can drop dead immediately.
All right. Okay.
And this happened a lot, actually, during Prohibition. And there was even, I think it was a conspiracy theory. I don't know if it was ever proven, but there was some theory that the FBI was like running around poisoning rum distilleries specifically with this mechanism, so people would drop dead and then not drink any rum anymore. And mission accomplished. And it was a whole thing where like this is what like the G-men were doing, when it could just as easily be explained by like just shitty equipment.
Right. Yes. We've met Americans. We know how they operate.
So if you want to kill someone and you're in an era where rum is hard to come by, you can make bad rum, shoot it full of methanol, and that's how that works. There's another mechanism of making bad rum, and that is with iron sulfite. And they use that as a sweetening agent. Lead sulfite. And so you're putting lead in and you're dissolving lead in there, and so it'll kill you with lead poisoning, but it'll take forever. Like you're not cashing in on any wills with that. So he tells him this story, and then he makes an insidious motion with his hand, which I can only assume is like the OK symbol with one hand, and then a finger going through the other. I think that's the insidious motion. And then the action picks up. Then finally something happens, and that something is a lightning strike or something, and then the scene changes outside the window, and it's no longer modern day Greenwich Village of 1925 or whatever. It's the distant past, and you can see like all the trees and all that, and it's like well before like there was European settlement here. It's just the island of Manhattan, is like that's all it is now. And he's like, dang, check that out. Yeah, as always, Claire read this story approximately 20 minutes before we started recording. So
and I like his, good God, I whispered, can you do that for any time?
Dinosaurs. How about dinosaurs?
Exactly.
Nope.
Yeah,
Doesn't give a shit about dinosaurs.
No. How about the future? Nope.
Not yet. And so then he goes to, and then he like snaps his fingers again or makes his insidious motion.
I mean, I do not understand the nature of this magic trick.
Like, it is a trick.
Illusion, Michael. Trick is something a whore does for money.
It's just you look out the window. Like, is that what the Indians were doing? I'm very
presumably
confused.
the Indians were going and getting dinosaur steaks. Like, that's what I would do with it.
This guy's just like, he brings this guy back to his apartment and is like...
dressed like James Hamilton.
My name is Alexander Hamilton.
Yeah, great.
What?
Andrew Hamilton.
My name is Alexander Hamilton.
What is Hamilton? Is it?
What the fuck was it? It wasn't James.
My name is Alexander Hamilton.
Alexander
Hamilton. British comedian and actor Andy Hamilton.
Alexander Hamilton.
Alexander Hamilton. Thank you. Yes, I assume everybody in
there are only 4 names.
There's only 4. One of them was like George. Yes, Alexander. So yes, brings him back to his room, dressed like Alexander Hamilton.
Yeah, and then is like, "Let me show you what wonders the eye can see. Look out the window. No, look a little closer." Okay. And the guy's like, first of all, he immediately recognizes it as old times.
Right.
Like
old
right. I would
European
be like,
times.
I mean, that's a lightning strike is when he sees this. So, that's a lot of math to do in that one quick thing. But anyway.
And then he shows him colonial Manhattan. Which is also cool.
Yeah.
Still no dinosaurs.
Yeah. Yeah. This is all over the course of like a couple 100 years.
Yeah.
Is all he can do.
Well, and then he does Future New York.
I did not get that.
Deep Future Manhattan.
Oh, I didn't get that. I didn't
Yes.
Oh, that's where the racism comes in.
And he saw the heavens verminous with strange flying things.
Okay.
And it is definitely Futurama.
I didn't get that it was the future. I thought it was like some other like world or something.
Oh, you thought it was like distant, like prehistorical past? No, man, it's the future. I mean, it's never actually said.
Yeah.
But I think that it is it is a vision of Manhattan future where it's
with all the immigrants.
overrun with immigrants.
Also, Zoidberg.
But by immigrants,
yeah.
I mean aliens, because it's
Right.
Futurama New York.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
new New York. And
It
there's
seems like a perfectly nice place.
well, yeah. So yeah, I really liked the phrasing of the verminous.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
skies were verminous with strange flying things, which is of course flying cars.
Yeah.
And I also agree with Lovecraft. Flying cars are dumb.
Yeah.
They are dumb and stupid, even when they're in Futurama and Fifth Element and
Because
Blade
they're still going
Runner.
to have to be on some kind of road grid thing. It's not like airplanes don't just go wherever they want without.
No, it's
you know.
and flying cars are a terrible idea. And the shorthand of we were promised flying cars, and instead
Yeah.
we got whatever wonder of
Nothing.
modern technology it is. No one promised anyone flying cars. Now it was on the cover of Weird Tales, especially when Lovecraft was writing, for sure.
Yeah.
But no one was saying like, oh, flying cars are the future, and we're going to actually do flying
Someone
cars.
must have said that.
They would have quickly found out what a terrible idea it is when minor weather events become major catastrophes
Yeah.
and like thousands die. So, yeah, and so it's taken over by all the aliens that come to Earth, and they build evil pyramids, and and then there's the other thing I really like.
He
from
just
this section.
assumes it's evil. Like it doesn't even
might
bother
be
to
nice
look at. Like,
pyramids.
I know they might be perfectly lovely.
Well, and the evil pyramids too, like it reminded me strongly of Madison Cube Garden from Futurama, which is probably what he saw, and he just assumed it was an evil pyramid because it was square.
Right. Yes. He didn't even look. What kind of restaurants do they have? Like, I'll bet there's some amazing food.
Every now and then you want to knock it up a notch with a blast from your Spice Weasel. Bam!
Well, and he could say that like from this house, and I guess he could hear it through the window, the clatter of obscene crotala. And I did not know what that was.
I don't know what that is.
And I am here to tell you what it is. So the singular is crotalum, and it's a castanet. But it's an obscene castanet,
Okay.
so it's probably butts or something clapping together.
like insect clacking or like
Like
I don't know. I mean, I know
like
what a
a-
castanet
yeah.
is, but like I don't understand what that has to do with.
well,
They
he really didn't like it.
okay. He had an upstairs neighbor who was into flamenco dancing.
Right. So the crotala are used. The big reference I can find for them are in ancient Greek religious dances,
Okay.
but otherwise they're basically just castanets.
All right.
So but obscene.
Yeah. I think I felt a little bit bad. Not bad. I think that this story
Mhm.
came along. Like I read the story at not a very good time
Mhm.
because everything that is going on
Mhm.
in the world as I gesture around
Middle
to-
2025.
yeah, of like just the whole clear disgust with like immigrants
Mhm.
just made me want to reach through time and punch him right in the fucking face.
If only you had learned the time travel spell
Exactly.
from Indians who were stealing onto your property, then you could do that. Let's go find some Indians.
guys, they're gonna be like,
This is
"Get
gonna be
the-
great.
Get the fuck off of our land, ma'am.
Please, ma'am."
Go away.
So speaking of Indians, they're suddenly ghosts.
Yes, that's right.
So after the vision of New York and the true terror of the future, they snap back to reality.
Oh, there goes gravity.
And ghosts happening. So there was a steady, stealthy creaking of the stairs, as if they were either barefoot or skin shod.
Ooh.
Like Indians. And then a rattling at the brass latch. And then also there's a tomahawk that you can see briefly.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Because that's what they need.
and then
And then they come through.
the guy starts yelling at them, saying like he didn't mean to
Yeah.
poison them or whatever.
Yeah, it's like the Ark of the Covenant that
Yep.
has been opened.
Yep. And yeah, they come in and they're swirling around, and the floor collapses. Oh no, wait, no, the floor doesn't collapse quite yet. First, crazy time effects happen in the room, like the room gets all aged and stuff,
Right.
and then he gets all aged and stuff, like, and then he turns into like, and I love this part. It was it it is the wither spell from
Yes.
every
Yeah,
Fantasy
yeah.
Flight
Yeah.
branded Lovecraft game. This is, you get wither.
Shrivel and blacken.
He turns into a little black head with no body at all, and he's trying to roll around all by himself. And then right, and then the floor collapses, and the narrator like falls to the floor, and then he sees this like horde of ghosts and like a black swarm or whatever. All he sees are the eyes. And the ghosts go out one door, and he goes out the other door.
Yeah.
So the ghosts are clearly not even interested in him.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But he's terrified now, and so he runs across.
Understandable.
He goes out. He runs across the lawn. He gets to the wall. He doesn't realize where the gate is or anything, so he climbs up and over the wall. All of this strikes me as a very Call of Cthulhu style kind of like run away, make a dex check, make a climb check, all of that.
Yeah.
He gets to the top. And
I was hearing the. No. It was
Yakety sax?
the yakety sax in my head. That's right. No, shit.
It's okay. I can put it in.
That's right. Along with all the buzzing from when I get it wrong.
And yeah, so he falls then off the wall onto the street, breaks a bunch of bones. He doesn't die, unlike Claire when we played The Haunting, a Call of Cthulhu adventure, who definitely died.
I definitely died.
Yep, she got
did.
pushed out.
I was the only one that died.
She was the only one who died. She got pushed out the window by the evil bed. That bed has killed probably more PCs in the entirety of Call of Cthulhu than any other monster or event. It's that darn bed. So he falls, breaks a bunch of bones, blacks out, and then he can never fly in the place again, which is very similar to the ending of The Music of Eric Zahn, if you would remember from episode 48. He emerges near Perry Street, which is in Greenwich Village, as discussed. It runs from Greenwich Avenue to the Hudson, and the manor is almost certainly a real place. And it was raised in 1865, and Lovecraft would have known this, but it was historical. It's the Warren Van Nest Mansion. There are pictures of it in the library. There's drawings of it and stuff. And so it was like kind of a famous landmark up until 1865. And then it was destroyed for apartments.
And those apartments have since been destroyed for condos.
For condos.
Yes.
Yes. And now a parking lot, I assume.
Right.
But it's bounded by Charles, Bleecker, Perry, and West 7th Street. So if you want to go, anytime I happen to be back, I guess, in New York, this is another place I have to go to now, because now I know where it is. There are sketches of it. I'll put a link in the show notes, and they're in the New York Public Library collection. So that is the story. So TLDR, guy meets a weirdo in the middle of the night in Greenwich Village who shows him a magic trick 3 times, and then he gets disintegrated by ghost Indians.
Just another Tuesday.
Just yeah, that's New York for you, eh?
I love this town!
So, moving on. We can get to some business. I got some email I want to share with you.
Sure.
So the exciting news is this. I got email from Vineet from Million Podcasts, and he is very pleased to announce that Podsothoth, a Lovecraft book club, is among the 90th best Lovecraftian podcasts. Among. Underlined.
Turns out there's only 35.
I am shocked there are 90 Lovecraftian podcasts. B, that Vineet counted them and somehow categorized them in terms of bestness.
Yeah, there's definitely not 90.
Anyway, it is quite the honor. Thank you so much, Million Podcasts. I did check, and I went to the link provided, obviously. I don't know but I think it was just to congratulate us. I don't think he was like trying to sell me anything. But I did check, and we are on that list. We are number 17, I want to say. there are some dubious entries before us that don't seem particularly Lovecraftian, but okay. I am not here to like raise an issue with the Academy and how they choose their categories. I'm just happy to be nominated.
That's great.
And this is a special time, actually, right now, today, June 2025. Because like there's change afoot in the actual Lovecraft podcast world, right? First off, HP Podcraft is still not producing anything. I think they've gone entirely over to Patreon, and they haven't talked about Lovecraft since like 2012 or something. But they still talk about horror and weird fiction and all that stuff, and they're great. And you should pay the $5 Patreon fee or whatever it is to listen to them. They're great. Learning Lovecraft was on hiatus for several months, and they're just now, this week, I think, announced that they're back. So now we've got new competition. I actually like Learning Lovecraft a lot. It's almost exactly the same show as this show, except it's two dudes drinking beers. And one of them has never read Lovecraft before. That's the format.
I'll bet he'd be my favorite.
Mm-hmm. It's good. It's a good show. There was some talk about like they're also doing some Patreon thing, which I'm sure is great. And then third is Mythos Busters that just went offline.
Okay.
So Mythos Busters they have a huge Discord, and they're actually they seem to be like a legitimately big deal. I think they are like the number one Lovecraft podcast right now, just from what I can see from what they do on their Discord and all that stuff. Anyway, they just went offline. They're retooling, and I don't know what that means.
I don't either.
I think it means Patreon. I think that's what that
Got
means.
it.
So far, I have no plans to go Patreon only with this podcast.
No, I don't think we should.
No, we have a tip jar though.
I'd like people to hear us,
Mm-hmm. not hear us.
not hear us.
I mean, we earned that top 90 best Lovecraftian podcast.
We really did, man. Yep. We were at 95, and I was like, no,
not good enough.
Lift and weights.
That's right.
Dun, 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 dun.
I think we're actually like number 7 right now, but who's counting?
Number 7 out of 6.
Well, we are well behind the one that hasn't published in like 4 years.
I would have it no other way.
And then also we got email from a fan. It's Dom in Canada, and he has some questions for us. First off, he really likes that we talk about Arkham Horror. I also like talking about Arkham Horror. We just got through, how long did that take? I think it was like 8 or 9 months. We got through an entire Pandemic Legacy Season 1 playthrough with some friends of ours who had never played it. And that was super fun. And now we have them on the hook. And I think we're going to draw them in to some Arkham Horror, the living card game.
Which I'm hoping.
And so Dom asks, and I'll give you a moment to collect your thoughts because I already read this, so I know the answer. But he's asked 2 questions. One, in Arkham Horror, what is your favorite character class?
Jenny Barnes. Oh, no.
Followed by who's your favorite investigator. So favorite investigator is Jenny Barnes.
But I'd have to, even though what is she?
She's a rogue.
She's my favorite, but my favorite character class is Seeker.
You do like the Seeker. And you've taken to the side quests. You used to hate the side quests.
Well, because it's like...
And the Seeker has a ton of side quests.
They're so frustrating. It's, the side quests are pointless unless you focus on them.
Yeah.
But then...
You have to make it your job.
But then you also got to focus on winning, on not... No. Well, and I don't say on winning. I mean on not dying. So...
Well, my favorite class is Survivor. Not Rogue. Interestingly
I'm surprised.
enough. I'll sometimes go for Rogue. Like Rogue is like the backstabby. They have all the backstabbing cards.
Yeah, that's true. You're not a backstabber. You don't like that. But, well, you've certainly done it before.
I've certainly done it before. Get the hell out of here is possibly my favorite card.
Yeah.
And get the hell out of here lets you basically bounce out of the scenario at any time. It's like, well, I'm done. Later. Good luck. That is my favorite card. But my favorite class is Survivor, and my favorite character these days, as I've been thinking about it, Calvin Wright. I really like Calvin Wright.
The salesman?
Nope.
Wait,
Calvin Wright is the haunted, and he's the one that gets bonuses for when he has damage on him, when he has like mental or physical damage.
right.
And so he gets rewarded for taking trauma,
Yes,
which
that's
really
right.
guides how you play this character. You're like, oh, no, I'm totally fine with like going down swinging, because that means next time I'm going to have a +1 on swinging.
Yeah, that's true. See, that drives me crazy. I can't do that. I can't do that. I like Jenny because she has a lot of money, and you know me, I like my expensive cards.
And so survivors also rarely have any money, and that's fine, because I think money is one of the least useful resources in Arkham Horror.
Yeah, but it's so fun to have those good cards. Those expensive cards are so cool.
What you need to do is get like just the money magic Jenny Barnes build going, right? Where it's like it's the one where you get a plus for like if you have more than 10 dollars in your pocket, and then you have like +2 if you have more than 20 or something. All of those, right? And there's like 4 or 5 of them that you can put together for that. Yeah, I like Jenny Barnes too. I like that she's the dilettante, if I remember correctly, with her twin pistols, because she's a bit of a fighter.
Pew, pew, pew. Yeah,
her pistols are good.
I know.
So those are our favorites, and hopefully we'll play again soon. Dom has suggested playing with them. They're in Canada, so you would have to play it on the internet.
Oh, I'm interested. Okay,
I'm interested. I think we're gonna have to try it out with the because we've never played 4 players. We've played 3 players maybe 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
But we've never played 4 players, so we'll get our friends from down the street.
Yeah, that'll be
to
fun.
play. And we'll do the old Night of the Zealot.
Love it.
Yeah. Should we record it? We should not record it.
Can't imagine anybody's.
We don't have to do everything for content. I don't think we're
I
that
don't do
deep in big podcasting.
No, not at all, honey.
We could set up cameras all around. I'm sure Austin would be into it. He's a technophile.
That's true. They're way more entertaining than we are. They're young and cute.
Yeah, well. We're old and cutting.
That's right.
biting humor. Yeah, well, that's it. That's all I got. Great story there, H.E. Yeah, this is in my bottom 50%.
H.E. Lovecraft.
H.E. Lovecraft. Is that why it's called H.E.?
Yes.
It was supposed to be H.P. the whole time?
Yes.
It was a
it's
misprint.
Typo.
Yeah, it's not called H.E. It's called He. Yeah. And okay, that's it. Happy Pride Month, everyone.
Happy Pride Month.
I think this will go out during Pride Month if I'm very fast.
2 more days left.
Yep. On the editing. Yeah. I do have. I'm not going to say what it is. But next episode is episode 69.
Nice.
I have sought out the horniest Lovecraft story that I have not yet read.
Oh, that's perfect.
And that'll be on
I love it.
next episode. So come on back for that one. It's going to be crazy. You're going to love it.
Just wait till episode 420, my friend.
Oh my God. I don't think we'll get that far.
No. We'll die before then.
All right. That's all from here.
Bye.